Namaste, beloveds. This is a very special recording, I'll say. As you can see, I'm burning sage, and this is a branch from the sage. It's not your usual bush that you're used to. This is an actual branch um, of the sage tree, of the sage bush bundle. Um, and I'm putting it in my shell. my beautiful shell. And this is the stand that my shell sits on. So, with saying that, I just wanted to let you know where the smoke was coming from and exactly what it is. And if you see me needing to go and relight it again, that's what I'm doing. Just so it'll continue to burn. There we go. And we want it to burn during this download of information, during this um, sharing of information. There we go. Um, a lot has been happening spirit-wise with me and many others who are light workers, who are way showers, who are the star seeds here to open and expand awareness and consciousness. And what was given to me, I wrote it down because I brought it out of this very deep place of meditation this morning when I woke up. And what it says, what I brought forward was silence is the fortress of solitude for the spiritual mind. And I'm going to say that again because it is just so profound um, for me because it embodies a way of being that has been hidden for so long. And if you hear music on in the background, that is native flutes and is found on YouTube. And I don't know who it's by. It's by a collective. I'll try to put it on my the information. But getting back to what Spirit gave me, silence is the fortress of solitude for the spiritual mind. And excuse me if you see me putting that away. I just want to say trying to get comfortable here, so that information flows freely without my blockages and vanities and ego and everything else. So, saying that, we are just about out again. So I'm going to once more light it because I want the smoke. I want the smoke, I want the smoke, I want the smoke. And it's a leaf. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, we needed fire and we needed sage for this. As I center and ground myself, just give me a moment to do this. Silence is the fortress. You know, in the movie Superman, the one that was just made, the Man of Steel, it was introduced in a way that should awaken many memories, many thoughts, many questions, many um, dialogues, discussions, need for research. It should open you up to more than just what you see, more than what your physical eyes can grasp. And that, saying that, um, the first thing you see, well, the first thing that I noticed that caught my spirit was I'm sorry if you see me, was the bat. Um, he, Superman's father, Kal-El, no, not Kal-El, Jor-El was riding a bat, and the bat had an Egyptian name. Bat is an ancient Egyptian goddess, and that sparked immediately awareness in me for this movie to pay attention and to take note of certain things. And it was so amazing to me because it reflected so much of the things that I go through a lot with being an empath. You hear all of this all at once, and you have to learn to quiet your mind, so to speak, so that it doesn't become overwhelming and you can still function and do the things that you need to do. One of the things also that I'm being told to share before I get sidetracked is that a rebirth took place with him when he needed to know who he was. He went into his fortress of solitude. And in that fortress of solitude, he was reacquainted with his genesis, with his creation, with who he was and what his purpose was and why he was who he was. And he needed that information in order to move forward to the next step of what he needed to do, into who he needed to expand his consciousness into. And that is what Spirit wants me to share, is that we are expanding into a consciousness that allows us to see things from different aspects of our beingness that we never explored, never opened, never used before. It's like we are sleeper cells, and this information is always been in us and always been passed down through the generations, but it is only now, with the alignments, the planets, and the will of the collective, that is allowing us to see, to grasp, to hold, to hope, and to be unlimited in our essence and in our knowing and in our relativity to ourselves. And we have to become passionate about who we are and about what we want to happen in this lifetime, what our mission is here in this lifetime, what our purpose is, what the expansion is that is necessary that we came. We are bridge builders. We are master builders. We are the architects of this matrix, creatrix. We are joint heirs. We are sovereign beings. And it is time to awaken to that destiny, to that way of knowing. And it begins with knowing yourself. And as Spirit gave this to me, it gave me the understanding of the need for meditation and why all of a sudden meditation is the new trendy word. It's the new word that all light workers are using. It's the new word that capitalists have grasped on and want to make millions off of. But I want you to understand that meditation begins and ends with you. You have to silence your mind. You have to want to be able to be still. You have to want that voice that is your highest self to speak to you. You have to surrender your ego to that self. You have to sacrifice your ego, your sense of self that you came into this being that has been taught to you by society and your parents and this matrix and this system. You have to sacrifice it. You have to put it in the fire, so to speak. You have to let it go. You have to surrender it. And when you begin to surrender your will and allow the ancient will to fill your being and yourself, then you begin to hear. You begin to hear the ancestors speak to you. You begin to see them in your children, in your grandchildren, in the faces of others, regardless of their colors or their ties to you. You see them by their actions and reactions and how open they are to the realities that are being shown and being divested and invested. We are the gift. We are the product. We are the creation. We are the design. And all was given to us. It's inside. And we have to get to a point where we can still all of this noise, this chatter, this voice, the dysfunction, the self-loathing, the anger at the injustices of this world. We have to get to a place where we can have that, enter that fortress of solitude. And when you are able to enter that fortress of solitude, that is where your awakening begins. That is where your rebirth happens. Because that is where you begin to open yourself to the wisdom of the ages. And you start to integrate those words, those sounds, those images, those imprintings, those memories. You allow them to course through your being and to detoxify you and to transmute all the poisons that you have allowed to accumulate inside of you that causes you to literally and physically die. That is the legacy of the knowledge of good and bad. That is what needs to be let go. But understand that we chose that right. We chose it. And in choosing it, we now have to rise above it. And it is there to show us where we need to go, where we need to be, how we need to arise and climb. It gives us the insight into the stairway. You know, that stairway of heaven. It allows us to step on those stairs, to first see that staircase, and to know that, okay, I need to be up there, not down here. You know, allowing my emotions and my monkey mind chatter to just, you know, to distract me from the spirit that is within, that is speaking, that is trying to be heard, that is trying to say, choose me, instead of listening to that chatter. Listen to me, listen to the quietness. Come into this place, come into this space for just a moment. Try it. Try it on. See how it fits. See how you shine. See how this stillness brings peace to the most anxious monkey you have in your mind. The silence and the solitude are the fortress of the spirit. And it is there that you need to enter in order to interact with this vibration, this frequency, this way of knowing and being. It comes through actively seeking to hear, to know yourself, because that voice is yourself. It was Jor-El and his mother that spoke to Clark. That is the father. That is the figurehead, so to speak. The father contains, excuse me, I got hairs. The father contains that male essence. That is the logic that will communicate with you on what you are to do logically and mentally, and how to get your cognizance and your, the English language really does not have enough words to express this the way it needs to be expressed, but I'll do my best. It is in the solitude that logic speaks, and that logic is that masculine essence that needs to be heard, that informs you of your purpose, your reason, and it grounds you in being and becoming who you need to be. That's what that masculine energy, the father energy, why that was needed for Kal-El to know who he was. And for us, we have Sky Father, we have God, the masculine God that we've been taught about, that has been unbalanced because the female essence is not there to balance it. Okay, I don't want to stop playing with my hair that way. In seeking, this is all live, this is coming from deep within, and I'm trying to stay regulated and just let it flow and not fight it, but there are parts of me that are just clamoring because this is so new for me to be doing this totally on camera, so to speak, and speaking it out instead of processing it inwardly. So bear with me. I'm the vessel. I'm just the vessel. I humble myself often because that is what I need to do. In saying that, I want to proceed. Wisdom asks that we understand the different realms and aspects of our beingness. Just like I'm sitting here, there are different dimensions where I am not just sitting here. And that is part of an awakening awareness. We can't be giving too much at one time because we're not ready. A lot of times we think we're ready to receive different information, but if we did really have it downloaded inside of us right now, it would overwhelm us and we would go insane. That's why you have many light workers and indigos who struggle with mental issues because the downloading gets to be too much to process. They're physically, that brain, that physical mind is not ready to grasp the realities of the spiritual mind. And so there's a struggle that goes on, and that struggle causes imbalance, and that imbalance is the insanity. That imbalance doesn't allow you to function the way you need to inside of the circle with both pillars holding you up. Both pillars are the physical mind and the spiritual mind, the physical self and the spiritual self, the physical reality and the spiritual reality. We think they are two, but they are one. They are one. They are one. They are one reality. Only we perceive them as two. And we have to get back to the quietness of the mind that allows for the integration of the physical and the spiritual mind to marry each other. That is the sacred union. That is, we are the Holy Grail. And when you combine that physical mind and that spiritual mind, that is the sacred alchemy that needs to happen. When you do that, when you stand in the threshold of allowing that merger to happen, that is your spiritual stand. That is when you are able to embody the universe, which is unlimited, which allows you to manifest outside of your ordinary physical reality. And you're able to tap into the energies that are here for your evolution. One of them is the sun. That is why the sun was worshipped long ago, because it was recognized not so much as a deity, but it was recognized as an energy form, an unlimited source of spiritual energy. That is the spiritual fire. That is the culmination of many spirits coming together. That is what our sun is. That is what our earth is. That is what the planets are. And we are here in this physical form to remember and to connect that spiritual with the physical. That is the rebirthing. That is the resurrection. That is the renewing. That is the promise with a purpose. In being able to allow the expansion to happen, we have to be like glass. We have to allow ourselves to be placed in that fire, in that essence, in that spiritual fire that will expand us and that will mold and shape us along with the other elements and air and everything that gives us shape. And the finished product will be this beautiful container for spirit. And it will have your name and your essence, and you will be the expression of it. And that is why I felt so moved to do this video. That is what it is about. That is why I am sitting here now, because this was the information that was so deliciously so deliciously given to me to share and to integrate into my being, and to be able to share this and to teach this and to show this way of knowing and being, and to teach it in steps. You know, I've absorbed it. It's downloaded inside of me. So now I just have to click on it and open that file and allow it to be executed. And I'm doing that by doing this video and by taking the baby steps that I've been taking to get to my own wisdom, my own fortress of solitude, and to decorate it and to own it and to claim it and to know that it is there no matter what is happening in this physical reality. There is a fortress of solitude that is mine, my gift from whence I come. And inside of that fortress of solitude, of quiet mind, of silent voices, of awakened consciousness, of guides and helpers and angels and innocence and all of the essences that go into making us light beings is there and is available whenever you choose to immerse yourself in it. All you need to do is be quiet and surrender that ego. And to allow it to course through you. Allow its vibration to beat, to guide your heartbeat, you know, to guide you, and you go to it. It'll call to you. Listen, listen, listen. It calls to you because it is you. You are its child. And it calls to you. It holds out its hands to, come on, baby, come on. Come on, baby, come to mama. You know? And you just have to listen. You have to quiet those little inner demons that said, no, no, no. You are a sinner. You're unworthy. This happened to you. You're dirty. You think this. You blah, blah, blah. You did that. This happened to you. Doesn't exist in the fortress. Doesn't exist. It is not allowed. It cannot enter. It cannot be heard when you go and you lock that door to your inner solitude and you say, do not disturb. Little voices, do not disturb. Do not disturb me. I'm in my fortress of solitude. I'm communing with all that is and all that has ever been and all that will ever be. And it is speaking to me personally, uniquely, individually, specifically to me. I am blessed. I am chosen. I am a vessel, you know. I have a clarity and a peace that cannot be taken from me by any means. And when you get to that place and you're able to know that you can access it anytime, there should never be a place where fear can take root inside of you. When you are able to connect with your place of solitude, your fortress of solitude, you have connected with something, with a force that is greater than all your fears. All the fears that could be heaped upon you. All the fears and injustices and ugliness. You are sheltered in that place. You are nurtured in that space. You are whole. You are well. You are loved beyond any inkling of what you know love to be. Because spiritual love is not physical love. Spiritual love has no limitations. It has no buts and ifs and expectations and all the other rigmarole, you know. It doesn't have it. It doesn't need it because it knows what it is. It knows who it is. There's always, okay, I'm starting to get flippy here with the hair and stuff, so grounding. Need to burn the sage again. Because no matter how much you get into the habit of going to your place of solitude, until You have practiced so much that it becomes second nature to you. You will fight yourself from going there. You will have excuses that wait, have you dragging your feet outside its door when that's what you know you need. So we have to keep giving ourselves permission to go through those doors, to get silent, to listen, to know, to open up to what Spirit has for us. And in order to do that, we have to get quiet. We have to say the economy of this world is not a reality. The dysfunction of this dream exists because of my mindset and state of being, and my inability to ground and to quiet my mind. My inability to silence my ego so that I can go and sit at someone's feet and learn and open myself to what Spirit has to grant me. You know, the self wants you to think that it is the highest, that it is the king, because it is the seen one. It is not the seen that you need to worry about. It is the unseen. It's not this physical continence that I need to be worried about. It's not. It's not. What I need to be worried about is so deep inside. And it only shines forth. And when I allow it to shine forth, that is beauty. That is the beautiful. That is the beautifulness of Spirit. It's nothing to do with my physical. I am not my hair or my lack of. I am not this weak. I am not this, what you see. I'm more, so much more, and so are you. It only takes the quietness, because that quietness takes you back to the womb. That quietness, that fortress of solitude, is your womb. That fortress of solitude is your new womb, is your spiritual womb that allows you a place, a space, a sacred space to be nourished and fed spiritually, internally. You reconnect with your umbilical cord to the universe, to all that can enable you to understand, to know, and if there comes a time, this keeps going out, there comes a time when we have to recognize the significance of transformation. See, just like this, it was here when I started, and it is now here in our eyesight. But the truth is, it has been burning and it's all around. It's all around, and not only with me, but with you, because you witness it. So we need to understand what transformation is, what going back to that womb is, why we need to go back there, and the work that needs to happen in order to get back there. It is confronting your demons, because they're there. Before you can get into your fortress of solitude, you have to acknowledge all that you are, all that you have done, all that you have said, all that you have endured, all that you have thought, all that you have cursed, all that you have blessed, all that you have desired, all that you have needed, all that you have wanted. And then you lay it at the door and you walk over it into the quietness of your fortress of solitude. And you humbly prostrate yourself and you ask not for forgiveness, because there is nothing to forgive. You needed to get to this point. Don't be so hard on yourself. Every tumble, every stumble has been to teach you how to regain your balance. How to regain your balance. How to understand and understand that state of not leaning this way and not leaning this way, but being centered in knowing who you are and what you're here to do. And you have to be awake, and your consciousness has to be at a frequency, there we go, in a frequency that allows you to vibrate to this inner voice, this inner peace, this inner knowing, this highest state of you, the reality of you. The highest reality is this voice that speaks to you. This inner voice, the one that you have given godlike abilities. The one that you think is outside of yourself. But it's not. It has never been. You have allowed your monkey mind, your physical mind, to make so much noise that you couldn't fully hear the calling. You know, some people always say, oh, you're called to spirit. And I'm allowing this rainbow-like effect to just be, because it's not about my physical. It is about the message that is coming forth and forward, and I am loving that. We are awakening to our life's purpose. We are awakening to what and who we can become. And there is nothing new under the sun. These truths have been self-evident For the longest of times, it is only now that we are getting back in a state of a wonderful grace, of a wonderful place where we are being allowed to grasp the information that we have forgotten. This is the balance, this is the turning, this is the timetable, this is the awakening. So many people were worried about the Mayan calendar and the end of this. It was an end. It was an ending. We are on a new paradigm. We are beginning. But there is still so much that hangs on to the system because it's scared of letting go, because it does not realize what awaits it on the other side of the system. What awaits the other side of this system? What is there? And we have these mythical stories of dragons and chivalry and fights and damsels in distress and Romeo and Juliet and superheroes and supervillains. And yet we're worried about what is on the other side of this reality because we've gotten too comfortable in it. We've come to believe this. We've come to believe that we are beings of fear and hatred and distrust and misguided knowings and that we are stupid and that we're lazy and that we don't deserve things, or that to have these things you have to sell your soul, and you have to be okay with selling your soul. You can't get in touch with your spirit and have spiritual wealth and have physical wealth at the same time. We have not gotten to the point where we know how to balance that just yet, but we're getting there, and we're going there, and we're on our way to that way of knowing and of being. It only takes the intention. It only takes your constantly focusing and wanting to have that monkey mind be quiet. And once you do that, that means you're taking control. You're allowing your spiritual self to supersede your ego, to move it out of its place. And it thinks, hey, this is my birthright. I was born here. I was put here. Hey, wait a minute. But the higher self knows. You are the infant. You are not capable of driving this spiritual vehicle, ego. Okay? You do not qualify to drive this, no matter what you logically think that you can do. This spiritual vehicle right here, this spiritual vessel, you are not qualified to even sit in the driver's seat. So go get in the back seat somewhere. No, you're not going to sit shotgun and I have to listen to you. And even as a backseat person, you're not going to drive, okay? That is not this kind of party. You're not allowed. And you silence that ego. You put that ego in its place. You tell it, sit down, be quiet, and we'll be there soon. And you allow yourself to not be distracted by what's going on with that ego, because you're too busy driving. You're too busy focusing on where you need to go, on the direction, on the traffic, on the road signs, land signs, you know, but your consciousness is open and you're aware, and that's the best place to be, is open and aware, and to become comfortable in your place of solitude, to understand that it is your greatest blessing, it is your greatest gift, and it's always been there. And the mind knows that. And when something has happened to you or in your life where it was too much for your mind to remain present, your spirit automatically steps in and takes over and allows this part of you to come forth that can handle whatever that situation is. It also allows you a place to retreat to, you know, and you have to get in touch with that place. You have to become one with it. It's vital for the times that we are in, and in order to access deeper downloads and gain deeper insight, you first have to find your fortress of solitude, and you have to make it your own. You have to connect with the being and beings that dwell there, and understand that no matter what their visage is, because not all of them will be aesthetic to your eyes or your vision or your clarity. But you can also ask for them to appear so it doesn't scare you if that's necessary. You know, it is all in your control. It is all in your control. You just have to ask and to want and to speak it into existence and desire it. And the thought takes place in your heart and it's given birth to, you call it forth, you materialize it, you make it into being. And I'm going to end this here now. I just want to say again, I am very grateful to be a vessel, to be a way shore, to be a light worker, to have walked in the fire, and to know that on the outside, on the other side of that hell, because that's what it is, there is heaven, there is paradise, flowing with milk and honey, and abundance, and family. That's what it's all about. Reuniting the divine self with the divine self. And this is getting hot for me to hold. So I'm going to put it down. And I'm going to say, Namaste. And I hope that you begin to climb the mountain of your doubts, and that you find yourself high up and not at the base anymore, and that you allow yourself to enter into what is to be your fortress of solitude. And may that quietness be sweet to you. And may you never forget the taste, the smell, the touch, the feeling, the beingness of what it feels like to connect with that place, with that being, the beings that are there, that exist there. Know that it is home. It is home. There is no other. And if you are home there, everything else passes away. Gently. Gently, gently. Okay, I just saw Coco Pelli dancing and playing his flute. And Coco Pelli is a character, okay? If you know anything about Coco Pelli is a character, and especially for women. So I just saw him dancing and playing his flute and being welcomed in this fortress of solitude. So for me, that is very interesting. That's a gift within itself, and I receive it humbly. I guess that's all that I want to share. I don't feel anything else coming up with an urgency. If you aren't able to get to your point of quietness where you can meditate, find someone who can help you. Find someone who can be there with you to help guide you, to give you the visual stimulation that you need, to give you the verbal stimulation that you need to help you along the way. You can't just go climb something and not be equipped. You've got to bring your rope, you've got to have the right shoes on, you've got to be dressed right, and you have to have checks and balances and safety measures. So before you go looking for your fortress of solitude, do your work. Do your work. Begin walking within. Begin doing the assessments, taking the inventory of yourself. Explore what being unlimited means to you. It's a foreign concept. It really is. It blows my mind. I'm still trying to get to the point where, okay, passport to go outside of the United States. We have no idea of what unlimited potential that we have the abilities to tap into. Because we have crippled ourselves. We have limited ourselves with our limited knowledge. But again, everything has come into place and in alignment. At this time, to allow us to re-access, to regain access to all that the master teachers have appeared to share with us. The different techniques, the different ways, the different knowing, the different words, the different sounds, the different levels, the different layers. the armor, the spiritual armor that is necessary. Okay, just like Superman had his suit, and it had what we would call an S on it, but it was the symbol for hope, where he came from. Spirit. S. Spirit. Spiritual hope. Spiritual armor is required for spiritual battle. And it is a battle. It's a battle within yourself. It's not outside. We project outside, but it's a battle within. It has always been the two minds, the two suns. I'm looking at my face changing. I don't know if you see it, but I see it. And it still amazes me when that happens. I know it to be ancestors coming forward. We must surrender. And surrender comes from a place of compassion, self-compassion, compassion for self. And if you don't, you are unable to afford yourself that compassion, then you are lost. Because if you can't afford it for yourself, how can you give it to someone else? We have to be compassionate with ourselves. We have to be humble. We have to allow ourselves those silent times where we minister to ourselves. If we're always noisy, always in the middle of drama, always in the middle of physically fighting or arguing or verbal battles or chasing these windmills, and making them into monsters, you're wasting your time. You're missing out on your fortress of solitude. You've created your own reality, and you have forgotten the sweetness of what truth, ma'at, is. It is taking that way of being into every realm of knowing. It is taking that essence and that life force into every situation, onto every platform. Every projection is giving spirit, is allowing, is moving, is opening. A new way of being, a oneness, an integration of the physical and the spiritual. That's the marriage. That is the Hero's Gamos. That is the sacred wedding. That is the union that brings the highest glory. Is the pairing of your physical being with your spiritual being. That is the male, female. The male, we'll say that's the physical. The spiritual is the female. It's the feminine essence. And they must merge. They must have a dedicated relationship. They must love each other unconditionally. They must know each other intimately. They must act and react as one, you know? And okay, I don't want this to be too long, but it's already long. And Spirit is saying, if it's long, it's long. And if they have the patience, they have the patience. And if they don't, they need to learn it. So stop worrying about that. So I'm going to stop worrying about that, okay? Ain't going to bring it up in that area again. Sure enough ain't. Okay. And I'm getting ready to end this because I can feel I can feel my physical self returning. And so I am going to allow that now. And I am so thankful. And I feel, so blessed to be able to be at a point where I can receive this wisdom and channel it and give it back out without monkey mind speaking its negativities of, you're crazy. What are you hearing? What are you saying? What are you talking about? Not the seen, the unseen, or learning to, the vision has to be married as well. Okay, the eyes have to be married as well. The physical eye and the spiritual eye all have to learn to see as one. And when you learn to see as one, when you allow that, you see the microcosm and the microcosm and the macrocosm all at once. That means you don't just see the earth, you see the universe, you see the galaxies, you see other dimensions, you're aware of the suns and the satellites and the different planets and the evolution and the revolution and the tides and the ebbs and the flows, and you realize that you're connected to all of that. You're part of, not separate from, not a part from, you're a part of. We are created from those systems, those knowings, those light, that energy, that frequency. And it's up to us to allow ourselves to get there and to flow and to be. And it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And no matter how deeply rooted and grounded you are in accessing your fortress of solitude, you need to know that there will be times and places where you will step outside that fortress and you have to ground yourself and step back in. And that is the process until you no longer need that fortress of solitude, until you become that fortress of solitude. Okay? Okay. That's it. That's enough. And I just want to say again, Namaste for the 100th time. And be loved and be blessed. And I am going to be doing more of these videos because my fortress of solitude is a wonderful place, and I want to share what occurs inside, and I am told that I need to do that. So, with that being said, this is Mother with Wisdom, aka Valerie Ames, aka Sophia of Shiva. Sharing her space and her frequency of what she has received and what she's given and what she wishes to give to you. So, enjoy your gift. I won't say Merry Christmas, but enjoy your gift. And this is my gift to you. So, I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Please. It does matter. It does matter. It helps with the connection. It doesn't validate what I'm saying. It doesn't validate me. It doesn't add dimension to my fortress of solitude, but to my human spirit. It feels good. It feels good. It feels healthy. It is an exchange, you know? So, just like I'm giving to you, give back. Give back. That's the circle. That's the cycle. That's the beginning. Okay, and with that, I'm done.